That's what happens. All right. Well, here we are at time. I'd like to welcome you all to a session on texting journey with Mogli at the University of Wisconsin. I'm Meredith Aronson. I'm the Director of CRM and Digital Experience Services at the University of Arizona. We've been working with Salesforce since 2019, mostly around lots of interesting things, including Mogli. So it's nice to be part of what I will call the M-Cubed team. I'm going to, Alan, provide us that. We have Megan McDonald, Megan O'Rourke, and the single Meredith, non-Megan. I do have a sister Megan, though, so maybe that makes M-Cubed. But anyway, Megan McDonald and Megan O'Rourke have been involved in the Salesforce journey in continuing studies at University of Wisconsin since 2018. Megan is a CRM manager and has been there since 2018. The admissions and recruitment efforts there, and Megan O'Rourke is the Salesforce admin since 2021. So I'd like to introduce the two of them. It looks like Megan O'Rourke will kick us off to talk to us about their texting work with Mogli.
Sure, and I think Megan, you might need to jiggle your screen or something so that I don't think I'm seeing our screen. But I can start off with, I am Megan O'Rourke. As Meredith said, I have a background in higher education, working in career services and employer relations at a few different schools. But I was always that person who loved to understand all the technical solutions that we've been working with, and had the opportunity while working with employer relations to be a part of an implementation of Salesforce on our campus, and that's how I ended up in this role. So you can see from when our slide is able to come back up.
Is it not up at all?
No.
Can anyone see? You have Megan's baseball card up right now.
Okay.
Oh, okay. So maybe it's just I that I'm not seeing it.
Okay.
But we are one of about 4 live active orgs at UW-Madison. We're the pre-enrollment org in a partnership with undergraduate admissions and Division of Continuing Studies. And you can see that there's a kind of a dotted line between us and external relations. External relations hosts a lot of our account information with folks that we're working with externally to the university, but our prospective students are mostly working professionals, and so we do some syncing with that org to track people's current employers. So I'll turn it back over to Megan to tell a little bit more.
All right, so hopefully the slide is advanced to me. Hello everyone, Megan McDonald, CRM manager. I have been here since 2018 at UW-Madison, but working in Salesforce ecosystem since like 2009-ish, starting with a nonprofit. Here at UW-Madison, like Megan O said, we're kind of in this bubble, this pre-enrollment org cloud over here, where we're dealing with everything pre-enrollment. So we represent the Division of Continuing Studies, but we work closely with our friends at the Office of Undergraduate Admissions. We kind of share our Salesforce instance. They do a lot of high volume recruiting because they're doing recruiting for all the undergraduate admissions folks that are coming to UW-Madison, which is a huge amount of people. And we are more of a high touch, so more like one-to-one interactions, because we are representing a portfolio of programs called Professional Degrees and Capstones and online undergrad. So for those types of programs, it's much more of a high touch approach where enrollment coaches are working directly with prospective students. So we do quite a few integrations with all of our various application systems and student information systems. And like it says over here, the primary use cases is really around a lot of one-to-one stuff. So that brings us to what we're talking about today, which is our journey with Mogli and texting. So we launched Mogli about 2 years ago, fall of 2021. And it was to solve a literal pain point where we had enrollment coaches complaining that their thumbs were hurting from doing so much texting with their thumbs on actual phones. They said there has to be a better way. We'd like something that integrates with Salesforce. So that's how we found Mogli. We did some research. It seemed like a good one for the higher ed setting. We really like that it has this very intuitive and clean UI. You can have this Mogli component sit wherever you want, kind of in Salesforce on key objects. So for us, mostly the opportunity cases. And we like that folks can just type instead of using their thumbs. They can have templates. We can do scheduled sends. And it's really easy to have lots of different, what Mogli calls gateways, phone numbers that we can use and assign and reassign to folks. So in 2 years, we've had about 10,000 Mogli SMS texts sent and received. So with that, I'll turn it over to Megan O'Rourke.
All right. So while our enrollment coaches were really, really happy with not having to use a physical phone anymore to do the amount of text messaging, we still had one lingering problem where we actually had a general phone that was shared among the enrollment coaches with a phone number that was on a few different websites. And pre-pandemic, that phone was actually passed from enrollment coach to enrollment coach on a weekly basis. But then once the pandemic hit, it went home with our director of recruitment, and she's had to manage it the whole time. But because of the success of the Mogli gateways, we decided to embark on a little project to turn that general phone into a Mogli gateway and help to publish that on events, on websites and marketing campaigns, which is still growing at this time. And that way we could treat it more as like a case queue. And so instead of passing a physical phone, we would just give people access to that gateway.
Okay, so here's where we have enter in Mogli and Salesforce flows into this whole project. So as Megan mentioned, we created a Mogli gateway to replace that actual physical phone. That the first outcome of that is just brilliant. It makes it way easier to share the responsibility for that general phone. We don't have to have people in the same place to actually pass it off. Instead, we can just virtually assign and reassign who's managing that gateway. But second problem that sort of spun off from that, which is that you have a general number that you sort of put around your website and you add to email marketing campaigns, and it's just sort of out there, you're going to get lots of stuff coming in that may not be relevant. And maybe some of it is relevant, but just in general, there's just a lot coming in from what we call anonymous phone numbers. So, sometimes if an enrollment coach is working with a student and they put out their number to that student and the student texts them, we know who that student is already because we've been working with them. But this general number, it's more can get these anonymous texts from people that we don't know at all. They're not in our Salesforce. The phone number doesn't match anything. So what do we do with those? Especially in our instance, we don't use leads, which things. So how are we going to handle these incoming SMS that don't match anywhere, and how do we manage that? So for that, we worked with Mogli's professional services team to create a flow. So you can see it here. And we're not going to get into the details of the flow today, but you can definitely contact us for how the technical behind the scenes works. But we created this flow where we can say, hey, if an SMS text comes in and we don't know this number, let's create a case for it. And now we can use Salesforce's awesome, just native case management to deal with that, solve the issue, create a contact and opportunity if we need, but otherwise, if we don't, we can just sort of close out the case. So with that, like I said, we're not going to dive into the actual behind the scenes, but we are going to do a demo of end users are seeing and how the experience actually works in Salesforce. So with that, I'm going to bounce over to Salesforce. Whew, Megan O is on top of it. Okay, so the text has already come in. So we're kind of pretending right now that I am the kind of enrollment coach who's managing this general gateway right now. I'm in my Mogli inbox, but you can also see Mogli has this nice little utility down here that kind of anywhere you are in Salesforce, this will start blinking at you if you have a new SMS that you just received to a gateway that you manage. So I see that this has come in. So I'm going to go check out what this case is. And now because this phone number that we just got the text from, it doesn't match to anything in Salesforce. That's why a case got created. So it's going to come hit our anonymous Mogli text case queue. And hey, it's somebody who's asking about our user experience design program. So now I'm going to act as the person managing this gateway and go ahead and see what I can do to help them. So I have some things already sort of pre-scripted out, so you don't have to watch me type, but I'm going to go ahead and you can see how easy it is to type though, right into the box, hit send. So I'm kind of asking the person first a little bit of info so we can get them added. Just from that first question alone, this is somebody that we're going to want to add as a contact because they are interested in a program that we support. So this is one of our professional degrees and capstones. Oh my God, it's Damian Lillard. You guys don't, maybe some people know this about me on the call, but I'm a huge Milwaukee Bucks fan. We just got Damian Lillard, so that's very exciting. And hey, he's interested in user experience design. Makes sense. So let's go ahead and I'm going to continue having a back and forth with him. But while I am doing that, I'm going to sort of multitask as our enrollment coaches typically do. And I'm going to grab his name and email. And we added this little link out in our case to actually easily create a new contact and opportunity. Probably someday we'll turn this into a screen flow, but when we built this, we weren't super versed in that yet. So we actually have this going out to a form assembly form, pre-populating a couple fields. We're having this text opt-in, so that will allow us to continue having the opt-in when we get over to Salesforce and we want to continue doing it. Because Damien initiated the texting, we can opt him in. And now we're going to say user experience design, and we don't know about the terms, so we'll undecided, submit that. So that'll help me get Damian Lillard just into our system in the exact right way that we want to bring him in. Now I'm going to head back to my case. Okay, so I see here that Damian Lillard, he has some questions about if the program's online, what are his chances of getting in. So at this point, let's see, I am going to answer the first part of his question because I can. That's an easy one. Is the program 100% online? But for the second, I don't really know about his chances of getting into UX because I'm not super close to that program, but I know my colleague Zach is. So I'm going to ask his handoff to Zach. So I'm going to say, all right, we're going to get you connected with Zach. And before I finish that, I'm going to actually also go over here into this case and make myself the owner. And by doing that, just this one little update, you're going to see in a second, maybe I have to make one more update. We're going to also choose a reason and type for this. So as you all know with cases, you can always do a lot of great tracking of what the types of cases that we're getting. So I'm going to say this is a new person that we wanted to add to Salesforce. And it's somebody who is interested in one of our professional degrees and capstones. And now when I save it, I think it should also populate these two boxes here because I did that form and there's sort of a connector on that form assembly that should go ahead and connect the dots now that we're going to have the contact. No, it didn't. We'll give it one hard refresh to see if it will do that. I think my form went through. Yeah. And while we're letting it refresh, we're gonna hope that it populated those fields. But if not, we always can have we've trained our folks that even if those fields don't populate right off of the form assembly submission, they can go ahead and populate them. Because once they submit that form, now Damian Lillard is going to be in our system as a contact. Okay, hooray, it worked. So now we see Damian's contact and opportunity populating because I submitted that form. So we're just about done. I'm going to finish this handoff here to Zach. So I said hey, we're going to connect you to Zach. I need to actually send them Zach's info. So I'm going to go ahead and find, we can see Mogli's text templating abilities here. We're going to do a handoff to Zach where we have automatically his text and phone number coming in. I'm going to go ahead and send that. And now I think we've kind of closed this out for now because we've connected to Zach. So I'm going to go ahead and mark this as closed. And the last thing I'll do is pop over to this new opportunity that I created. And I am going to chatter tag Zach because this is the last piece of the handoff. So we told the student we're going to do this handoff. Now we're going to tell Zach, oops, hey, Zach. And typically I would @tag him, but we won't bother him. We actually are in production right now. The Mogli's easiest to just run a demo right in production. We're kind of crazy like that. So we're gonna chatter tag Zach, let him know Damian's text into our general gateway. And then just so you can see how kind of flexible Mogli is, now that we're in Damian Lillard's opportunity, if we pop over here to the texting component, that whole conversation we had is also right here. So we can, even though that started on the case, we can also see it on the opportunity. So now when Zach wants to go ahead and connect with this person, Zach can send this person a text message just as easily now to Damian Lillard. And we should see if we get another text from Dame in a second, it should hit this opportunity. But sometimes it takes a second. So I'll do one last hard refresh. But I think we're kind of running short on time. So you could just trust me. If Damian sends one more text in, it'll now connect both to that case and to that opportunity that's been created. So now Mogli will know this is an existing person who's we have their phone number, everything matches, and now it'll come in. It won't create a new case. So with that, I think I will pop it back over to Megan O to just talk briefly about reports.
Hi, everybody. Sorry, my internet has been going out during this big storm we're having down here. So on the reports that you're seeing here, what was nice about this is what we can track it. With that general phone that we had before, it was just a cell phone. And so there was no way to track the information that was coming in, and most importantly, how we might be referring people to other entities or units across campus. Because that email or that phone number was out on a variety of websites, we would get text messages about undergraduate admissions or visiting campus or holding an event on campus. And so this way we can actually track where some of those other requests are going from. So this is a new project and we have not had a lot of data to work with, but what we know is that now we have a way to be able to track if these people need to be in the system or where we're referring to them. So I think that kind of does it for our demonstration, but we probably have a few minutes for questions.
Thank you so much, Megan and Megan. That was really awesome. There are a couple of questions that have emerged in the chat. I'll pass them on to you in order. Are you using Mogli outside of recruitment, that is for registered students?
No, not yet, but there has been a little bit of interest from just recently from our advising folks so we don't do a lot with current students. So we really are just pre-enrollment. We have like a little sliver of like kind of student work that overlaps with our online undergrad. So there is a little bit of where a couple of advisors may kind of enter the fray doing some texting, but really it's like predominantly just recruitment and admissions.
The related question is really about bulk SMS in how are you using, you talked about one-on-one, but are you thinking about or have you been able to extend it for bulk SMS as well? Yeah,
great question. It's like a little slightly complicated because Mogli, you can do both with Mogli. You can do one-to-one, but you can also do bulk sends. So that's something our undergraduate admissions colleagues use Mogli for because that's really all they do is bulk sends there. But then we also use a marketing tool called Eloqua, and out of Eloqua, we can do some mass texting sort of separately there. So that's where we do our mass texting because we can do a short code. So we track opt-ins to both the one-to-one where we do Mogli. And then if somebody opts into our short code, that actually goes down via our integration with Eloqua. And then we can actually do those mass text campaigns out of Eloqua.
That's great. There was a quick question in terms of, it sounds like your group is working with Eloqua, but Mogli's integration or activation with Marketing Cloud is not your unit, correct?
Right. Yep. We are not Marketing Cloud anymore.
Okay, so a couple questions that came in. The texting history you showed, was that stored in Mogli or in Salesforce? If it's in Salesforce, does it get a lot of storage or take a lot of storage?
Ooh, yeah, it is all stored in Salesforce. Every single text that is incoming, outgoing, all of them get stored as SMS text records. I don't think that's takes up very much storage. I mean, and we've had undergraduate admissions. They send a pretty high volume. So I don't think that's been a concern for us to this point.
Great. Next question. Do you have a single long and or short code, or do you have multiples? I think you talked about having multiples. If multiple, do you unsubscribe from them, or do you allow for unsubscribe from all Wisconsin SMS or just the individual number?
Yeah, so we do. So for Mogli, we have a separate gateway for each enrollment coach. So I think we have about 12 or 15 of those long code kind of gateways. The short code, we actually only use one. So we only have the one, and it's only, I think when people are unsubscribing from that, it's just for that one.
So just to follow up again, has there been any thinking that there would be unsubscribed from all numbers in any way at Wisconsin, or is your intention to keep those separate in future?
Yeah, I think the unsubscribe from like any texting at all, I think is hard because the one-to-one is so just I don't like people can initiate that in. I guess we haven't. I don't know that we. I guess we'll say we've had those conversations about do we need multiple short codes and how that would work. But for now, I think like we sort of left it at, we have this one short code. People can unsubscribe from that. But then separately, if they do say stop to a Mogli, then we kind of opt them out of everything Mogli then at that point. So it does go, I mean, maybe that helps answer that one Mogli. If you say stop to any of it, we will unsubscribe you, kind of not unsubscribe, but just basically Mogli won't work. It'll sort of gray out that any possibility of texting you at that point.
That's great. There's one remaining question in the Q&A, but we're at time, and I wonder maybe it's anonymous, so I have no idea how to follow that up in future, but for a future conversation. But thank you both, M Squared, for sharing some really interesting use cases around Mogli, and really appreciate your time today.
Yeah, thank you, Meredith.
Thanks everybody. Thanks, Meredith.
Hey, all.
Bye.